I tell Frank all the time, and I swear I really am going to, when it's all said and done, I told him I'm gonna write a book, My Life with the Champ. Frank told me when we first got together, you'll have the hardest job with the least amount of recognition. I will never forget those words because it's so true. When we first got together, he had just fought Roberto Chavez. I first was thinking probably what a lot of people think, like, that's so violent. You know, I wonder if he's violent at home. Like, is he violent with me? Is he violent? What if we have kids? Like, is he just this, you know, monster? And I actually told him right after the fight, I said, I don't think we can talk anymore. You know, I've got a son, and you know, I think this is too much for me, so. Well, he explained it to me, I think, you know, he's like, whoa, you know, hold on, you know, why don't you come and watch me train? I think that was it. So, you know, why don't you come and watch me train and see what I really do to prepare for this? And, you know, I'm actually a martial artist. He didn't exude any violent tendencies. In fact, he was the complete opposite. So he beat Tim Silva, won the title, great, yay, oh my God, youngest champion ever, it was so amazing. Buys a motorcycle. And on his motorcycle, he gets hit by a car. So right when I got to the scene, the ambulance had taken him. So I still couldn't see him. It was like, I just wanted to see for myself that he was okay. You know, luckily he had his helmet on and there was cement lodged in his helmet when he had kind of rolled and landed and then hit the cement. So the 2 years after that were, I don't even know. I would say it was like hell, actually. It was pretty bad. So he was stripped of his title. He couldn't defend it. They told him he could never fight again. It was a bad time. And it wasn't the brake that was the problem. Is that when he was riding on the motorcycle and the car hit him, it broke his leg in half, but it destroyed all of his tendons in his knee. Both of the doctors told him he could never fight again. In the meantime, he was in so much pain. So he was prescribed painkillers, which as people do, especially when you get hit by a car and flown 75 feet. And as you know, or if people do know, that the problem with pain meds is that they do help you with the pain, but they make you extremely depressed and discouraged, and extremely. So I was kind of like fighting this battle because he became addicted to the pain pills, and then because he was always in pain. And then he, you know, when the doctors told him that he could never fight again, it was just like this snowball effect where he never could get sober enough to think that he could do it or that he could be good. I remember thinking for a moment, like, I don't know how to fix all of this. And I didn't really ask for help, because at that time I think the people around him were struggling too, because you have to think, in Frank's life, his family and his coaches, he kind of was like Superman. Like, that's the best analogy I can say. You know, when you're watching Superman, the movie, and Superman, the kryptonite comes in and he like loses all of his powers, and you almost lose like all hope for him. You're just like, God, you know, you know he's Superman, but to see him so weak, it doesn't like register with you. And so I think with his family, like, that was their struggle. And I remember thinking, he's there, like, I know it. I know this is not his destiny. This is not the end for Frank Mir. It just isn't. So I gathered myself together and I was like, okay, how do I get him sober? I mean, that was my first thing, because he'll never go to a rehab. So how do I get him sober, and how do I do it by myself? When I started seeing him getting healthier, then I talked to Joe and I said, we need to get him a fight, you know? Even if he's gonna lose, and in my mind I knew he's gonna lose, he's not gonna win, but let's just get him a fight. And I knew if anything would be able to pull him completely out of it, it would be that desire for fighting, the desire for martial arts, that way of life that I was so attracted to when I met him. We got him a fight, and I remember it was with Marciano Cruz, I believe. And he was doing good. He was high 50% of the time, you know, sober 50% of the time, but the 50% of the time he was like being more motivated. He was trying to go to the gym. It was like, okay, well, you know, his jiu-jitsu wasn't back yet because his leg was still messed up, but we were working on stand-up. It's like, we got to get him another fight. Like, let's just get him another one, you know? Because I was seeing that it was working, you know? So like, we got to get him another fight. So We get him Dan Christensen. I mean, he was just so fat and out of shape and unhealthy, but he won. And I was so happy with that fight because I'm like, yes, he won. So it doesn't matter that you were fat and that you were sloppy and you looked horrible and that was like the worst fight in your history to date, but you did it. And they told you you couldn't fight, let alone, not only did you fight, but you won. So you fought and you won. So that's what I held on to, like, so when I was trying to convince him. So then after that fight, now we were up to 5 days a week sober, 2 days a week, you know, still, oh, I gotta have a pain pill, you know, I think my leg hurts, the whole, you know, anybody that's lived with an addict, the whole, you know, justifying, making it sound reasonable. So then he fights Brandon Vera. So now the Brandon Vera fight, he's feeling good. You know, I won my fight. He's starting to move around a little bit more in jiu-jitsu. He was really feeling good with that fight. I mean, I think at that time we were like maybe, you know, every once in a while giving the excuse for a pain pill. Fights Brandon Vera, gets kneed in the face. And I was so afraid. I was thinking, he's gonna spiral back down again, of course. You know, this is gonna be his pattern. He lost the fight, he's gonna think he sucks, and he's gonna spiral down. And of course, we're in the hotel, he loses the fight, he's like, I just don't have it anymore. I just don't have it, you know, I'm done, I'm done. And so when he said that, I kind of just like snapped and I said, you are not this bitch of a person right now. Like, you're just not, like, man up. You know, you have kids, you have a wife, man up. Like, you can do it and I have faith in you, you're gonna do it. So when Frank fought Anthony Hardunk, and he was on a prelim, so that, you know, that kind of hurt too. So he was on a prelim. He fought and he submitted him. He submitted him in like 50 something seconds. And when he stood up, I mean, I was so hysterical and crying and upset because I was like, oh my God, like, this is it. Like, this is finally over. Like, all this that we've been dealing with, it's done. You submitted him in 50 something seconds, just like the old Frank Mir. You were in shape, you were great, you were this, and Anthony Hardunk is the last fight that he's had any addiction problems. Like, that was it. After the Anthony Hardunk fight, he always would say, like, I thank my wife, I owe it all to my wife. But anybody that has been an addict or has lived with an addict or has been directly affected by an addict, to me, like, that he overcame it on his own, because really, I mean, I was there to kind of guide him, but he did it all on his own. And to come back and overcome that and overcome the doctors and overcome your injuries and go on to win another title and win all these things, it's like, that's why I was just like freaking out so bad. I mean, people don't know that. Now they might know that, but that was why I was just so happy. I was like, it's done, like, it's finally over for me. I feel completely fulfilled. So, yeah, I'm happy.